Shalom and welcome for our Hebrew class. My name is Tom Howling. Let us go through our lesson for this week. And we are dealing with Yehoshua, John, chapter 5, verses 29 to 32. So let us begin. Firstly, for anyone who's relatively new, I have a chart of the Nikud, the valve markings, and some useful resources which I hope you use. So we begin now with verse 29. It represented by a calf, which has a value of 20, and a tet, a value of 9. So let us go through the letters. Vav, ayin, lamed, vav, ayin, sin, yod, hey, tet, vav, vayet. It's a vayet because there's no dot. Lamed, kuf, vav, mem sofit. Lamed, chet, yod yod, mem sofit, vav, ayin, sin, yod. And let us read now. Ve'alu, and they shall go up. It comes from Allah, which is a code verb to go up, to ascend, even to increase. Ose, meaning doers of, because it's in a like construct form. And then ha tov, meaning the good. La kum, to a resurrection. If we look at kum down here, it's a verb to rise, to stand up, to wake up, even to start. And come is a kal verb, to get up, to arise, to stand up. So we can understand how we get to the resurrection. La chayim, to life. Ve'ose, and doers of. And so the translation is, and shall come up those who do what is good to a resurrection to life, those who do. And now let us remove the aids and let's read it. Ve'alu, ose, ha tov, la kum, la chayim, ve'ose. And the translation, and they shall go up, doers of the good, to a resurrection to life, and doers of. And then we turn to part B of that one. And we have a hey, a resh, and ayin. Lamed, kuf, vav, mem sofit. Lamed, dalet, yod, nun sofit, meaning a nun at the end of a word. And we see the ayin is in white, which means we don't pronounce it. So it is hara, meaning the evil, because ra means evil. La kum, to the resurrection again. La din, to judgment. And we look down here. Din means sentence, legal position, law. It can mean judgment. Right, and the translation, and to a resurrection to life. Those who do evil, to a resurrection of judgment. And so now we can read it. Hara, lakum, la din. The evil, to a resurrection to judgment. And so now we come to 30, represented with lamed. And then we have lamed, aleph, aleph, vav, kaf, lamed, ayin, sin, because the dot's there, vav, tav, dalet, vayet, resh, mem, nun, fei, shin, yod, kaf, aleph, shin, resh. And we read it lo, which is not, ukal, I am able. Again, the aleph is silent, but we know the aleph also has a meaning. So if we look down here for the root, it's yakol. It's a kol verb, to be able, could have, be permitted, so to be able. And the aleph is used as I am able. La asot, to do, davar, a thing. Because davar has various meanings. It can mean object, event, anything, a saying, a word, a thing. So I've used a thing. Mi nafshi, from my being. You could also say from my soul. Ka'asher, like that. So therefore the translation, I'm not able to do anything of myself, just as. And so now we can read it. Lo, ukal, la'asot, davar, mi nafshi, ka'asher. Not I'm able to do a thing from my being or from my soul. Often translated from myself. Like that. And so now we come to 30b. We have an aleph, a shin, a mem, an ayin, a kaf, a nun sofit, aleph, shin, pei, because there's a dot there. Tet, vav, mem, shin, pei, tet, yod, zade, dalet, kuf, kaf, yod, lamed, aleph. And we read it. Eshma, I hear. Right? Because we've got the aleph there as saying I, and then Shema is here. Ken, so. Esh, pat, I judge. U, mish, pa, ti, and my judgment. The T at the end, the chirik and the yod, we could say is my. And my judgment, and I've added is, tzedek, which is righteous. If we look down to tzedek, it can mean justice, fairness, righteousness, integrity. And then ki, for, lo, not. Right, and I've given you shafat, which is a kol verb to judge to sentence. And I've also given you zadak, which is a masculine, a kol verb. We had the masculine noun there, now we've got the kol verb. To do the right thing, to be right. So the translation, just as I hear, so I judge, and my judgment is just, because not. And so we can read that. Eshma, Cain, Esh, pot, right? Esh, pot. U, mish, pa, ti, tzedek, ki, lo. I hear, so I judge, and my judgment is righteous, for not. And part C, we got an aleph, a veya, a kuf, or a shin. Resh, zade, vav, nun, yod. Kaf, yod, aleph, mem, sofit. Resh, zade, vav, nun, sofit. Hey, aleph, veyet. And we read it. Avakesh, I seek. Retzoni, my will. Again, the ending is my. The IY is my will. And if we look at ratzon, it's a masculine noun meaning desire, intent, wish, will, aspiration. So as a verb, it's ratzah, a kol verb to want, to desire. Then I've given you also ritza, which is a PL verb to satisfy, to placate. So I'm just giving you a few extras, but in this case it's my will. Then we have ki im. Now often they come together, that's why I've given you the arrows there. Ki im meaning but, and then we've got retzon meaning the will, and I've added of. Ha'av, the Father, because not do I seek my own will, but the will of my Father. And so now we can read that. It is Avakesh retzoni ki im retzon ha'av. I seek my will, but the will of the Father. Now we have 30D, we have an aleph, a shin, a resh. Shin Lamed Chet Nun Yod. And so we read it. Asher, which can be who. Of course, asher can be that which, who, whom. But in context, who. Shelachani, sent me. Again, me is the ni at the end, right? Because the root of it is shalach, kol verb to send, to dispatch, to reach out one's hand. And I've also given you shileach, which is a PL verb to release, to send away. And also shulach, which is a verb to be sent, to be dispatched. So, the translation, the will of my Father who sent me. And so we read that. Asher shalachani, who sent me. Now we're into 31, which is represented with Lamed 30 and Aleph 1. And then we go through the letters. Aleph, Mem, Safid, Aleph, Nun, Kaf, Yod, Mem, Ayin, Yod, Dalet, Ayin, Lamed, Yod, Ayin, Dalet, Vav, Tav, Yod, Lamed, Aleph, Nun, Aleph, Mem, Nun, Hey. And we read it. Im, which can mean if. Anoki, I. Me'id, testify. Because the root of it is he'id, a verb to testify, to indicate, to witness. Alay, about myself. Again, the ending, the yod and the kamatz can be my. And the al, of course, as I've got down here as a preposition, it can mean about, regarding, on, upon, over. Now we're using about or regarding. About myself. Eduti, meaning my witness. I mean, you could probably say eyewitness, but in this case it's my witness, because it comes from edut, which is a feminine noun, proof, testimony, evidence or witness. Lo not ne'emana. Ne'emana, to be faithful or is trustworthy. If I testify about myself, my testimony is not trustworthy. And I've given you here, ne'eman is a verb to be true, to be reliable. As an adjective, it can mean loyal, devoted, faithful, or trustworthy. And I've even given you this word, which is ed shem, which literally means also witness. And so we read that. Im, anoki, me'id, alai, eduti, lo, ne'emana. If I testify about myself, my witness not to be faithful or is trustworthy. And now we come to 32. It's represented with lamed and a vayet. Then we go through the letters. Yod, Shin, Aleph, Chet, Resh, Hey, Mem, Ayin, Yod, Dalet, Ayin, Lamed, Yod, Vav, Yod, Dalet, Ayin, Tav, Yod, Kaf, Yod, Nun, Aleph, Mem, Nun, Hey. And we read it. Yesh, meaning there is. If we look down here, yesh. As an adjective, it can mean there is. One must, it is necessary. So we're using there is, acher, meaning another, ha me'id, witnessing, or you could say the one witnessing, alay, about me, the yadati, and I know, because we know that yada means to know. Ki, that, ne'emana, trustworthy or to be faithful. So therefore, there is another who testifies about me, and I know that trustworthy. And I've given you a note here. When the Vav has a Shavah beneath it, then it calls the Vav to be separate like and, but does not change the intended tense of the verb. And we saw that here with the Shavah under it. Then it just is and. Okay, let us now read that. Yesh acher ha-me'id alai ve'yadati ki ne'emana. There is another witnessing, or the one witnessing, about me, and I know that trustworthy or to be faithful. And so we come to 32b, and it's an ayin, a dalet, a vav, a tav, a vav, aleph, shin, resh, hey, vav, aleph, mem, ayin, yod, dalet, ayin, lamed, yod. And now let's read it. Eduto, his testimony. Asher, which, who, he, which he, me'id, testifies, a lie about me. And I know that trustworthy is the testimony of him who testifies about me. And I've given you edut, meaning testimony, proof, evidence. And then just out of interest, I've also just showing you that slight differences have totally different words. So edda is a feminine noun meaning an ethnic group. So it's totally unrelated to that one. And then we have al, prep, about, regarding, at, by, over, onto, and I've given you this again, Allah, which is to ascend, to go up. And so we read that. Eduto, asher, who, me'id, alai, his testimony, which he testifies about me. And finally we come to our revision. And we see we got a kaf, so we know that's 20. And we got a tet, has a value of 9, so we're in 29. Ve'alu, which means, and they go up. O say, doers of Hatov the good, La kum to the resurrection, La chayim to life, Ve'o say, and the doers of. And they go up, doers of the good, to the resurrection, to life, and doers of hara the evil, La kum to the resurrection, La din to judgment. The evil to the resurrection, to judgment. Lamed, value of 30, so we're in 30. Lo not, ukal, I am able, la asot, to do, davar, a thing, mi nafshi, from my soul or from myself or my being, ka'asher, like that. Not I am able to do a thing from my being or soul, like that. Eshma, I hear. Ken, so. Esh, pot, I judge. U, mish, pa, ti, and my judgment is zedek, righteous. Ki, for lo, not. I hear, so I judge, and my judgment is righteous for not. Avakesh, I seek. Retzoni, my will. Ki imbat, retzon, the will, ha'av, of the Father. I seek my will, but the will of the Father. Asher, who, shalachani, sent me. Who sent me. And then we have a lamed value of 30 and a left value of 1. If, anoki I, Me'id, testify, alive about me or myself. Eduti, my testimony, my witness, lo not ne'emana, is trustworthy or to be faithful. If I testify about myself, my witness not to be faithful or is trustworthy. Then we have Lamed 30, Veit 2. We're in 32. Yes, there is. Acher, another. Ha-me'id, which is testifying or witnessing, or the one witnessing, alive about me, the yadati, and I know, ki that, ne'emana, faithful or trustworthy. There is another witnessing about me, and I know the trustworthy, eduto, his witness, or his testimony. I share that who he me'id testifies alive about me. His testimony which he testifies about me. And then finally, we now look at the vowel markings again. For any that are not fully accustomed to it, remembering that a kamat has a slightly longer A sound than a patak. And then we have zere, which again has a longer E sound than segol. Then we have a shava, which literally breaks up the word into its syllables. And then we have cholam, that's the O sound. Then we have shuruk, a short U sound. And then we have kubutz, a longer U. And then we have a combination of shava and segol. It's called a kataf segol. Then we have chirik, that's the I sound. And then we have kataf patak, which again is the shava, followed by the shorter A sound. And then we have kataf kamatz, which is the shava, followed by the kamatz, which again is a slightly longer A sound. And then finally we come, again, I've repeated the resources, and I do encourage you to use them because it'll help you so much in your reading skills. And so now we look at the values of the letters. So let us go backwards so that we learn the letters without thinking of sequence. It is a tav, 400, shin 300, resh 200, kuf 100, zade 90, fe 80, ayin 70, samek 60, nun 50, mem 40, lamed 30, kaf 20, yod 10, tet 9, chet 8, zayin 7, vav 6, hey 5, dalet 4, gimel 3, vayet 2, aleph 1. And that brings us to the end of this week's lesson, and we do pray that you are blessed by going through these lessons. We hope it encourages you in the study of Hebrew and to keep it, because the whole aim of it is a better understanding of the original and remembering that it is Lashon HaKodesh, what we call the Holy Tongue, because the scriptures were originally written in Hebrew, even if it was the ancient Hebrew, which is not exactly like the Hebrew we got today, but the sounds are more or less the same. So we just pray you are blessed by learning these, and we pray you will continue with these. I've tried to make the lessons as useful as possible, and so we like to wish you a Shavua Tov, which is a good week, and we say that in the name of Yahusha or Yeshua, our Messiah and our King. Amen.